Hey babes, welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Brandy. I am the host of the Be Real Babe show, and today, you guys, it's Monday and it's time to keep up with Canada, and this is the last Keeping Up with Canada before Christmas. I hope you guys are enjoying the end of your year and your holiday season. I hope you're ready for the end of the week, whether you celebrate or not. It is a really good time to stop, slow down, appreciate things, and enjoy the time with family and friends if you can, or if you like to be by yourself, enjoy that downtime for yourself. Be lazy. Eat cake for breakfast, eat chips for lunch. Just kidding. Do whatever you want. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I know it's hard and not always everyone's favorite season, so I totally understand it. But if you can, try and find the silver lining. Maybe you can binge a new series. Maybe you can look something up on YouTube. Maybe you can learn a new hobby you've been trying to, or get time to do your hobby. Or maybe you can read or prepare for the new year if that's what you're into. But either way, you guys, I am so excited. I have one more episode before Christmas. It's going to air on Christmas Eve. I don't expect anybody to watch any of these shows this week. But if you are wanting to stick around today, we are going to be talking about 3 different stories that relate to Christmas, kind of taboo, kind of controversial topics out there in the world right now. There's people on both sides of it. And then another story that I'm going to start with that I actually was watching live and I couldn't believe this was happening. And my heart was breaking, about a cat being trapped for 3 months on a patio in Vancouver, and how posting on social media got that resolved and that cat's safe. So if you guys are interested in listening to those stories, stick around and we'll jump right in. Okay, babes, as mentioned, I got 3 Christmas type stories for you for news, for Canadian news. We're going to take a break from some politics, getting a break from intense crime and pedophiles. Okay, but some of these are good, some of these are bad. Everyone's kind of all in the middle. But the first story I want to talk about, like I said, it actually showed up on Facebook, and I ended up sending it to Grant because I wanted to watch the story and make sure that this cat was getting rescued. And then all of a sudden, because there's so much talk about it, obviously the news got involved. So I wanted to share that because I do want to kind of commend all the neighbors working together to make sure that this cat is safe. And then also understanding that sometimes we take it a little too far in real life, and we should probably kind of tone it down. So we'll go to the story, and like I said, we'll have 3 other different Christmas stories to talk about. So, cat seen locked out of Burnaby balcony for months, now in care, BC SPCA said. So this was posted on the 18th. Like I said, I seen this happen on Facebook. It was in I think it was called the BC Adoptable Pets group, and someone had posted, it was the lady that had brought this out, saying, this has been happening for 3 months now. What the heck do I do? And she was updating. People were getting involved. There's some people on the thread that were from the apartment. Like, a lot of people came to this cat's rescue, and you guys are just literally, sometimes the social media is absolutely the best. However, there's a however to that, and we'll get to it. A cat that generated a lot of social media attention recently is now in care, the BC SPCA has confirmed. The cat first came to the attention of neighbors in the Burnaby building on Hazel Street, who said the cat had been locked on a balcony in the elements for about 3 months, and they could hear its distressing meows. I would struggle to be a good person, you guys. I'm not going to lie. Neighbors told Global News that BC SPCA did come to the building once, but advised that they did not proceed because they were not able to connect with the building's management. Neighbors said they also contacted the concierge and the building manager about the cat and posted about the issue on social media. In a statement to Global News, Thomas McGreer, vice president of AWM Alliance Real Estate Group, which manages the building, confirmed that efforts to deal with the issue are ongoing. Regrettably, our office staff are becoming the subject of verbal abuse by concerned neighbors calling in, presumably due to social media posting, McGreer said. Okay, so this is kind of what I'm talking about, where I absolutely understand people's frustrations. I understand that sometimes, especially with government regulating services, you want those services to act right away. But, and I know this is not discrediting what people are saying. If there is corruption within the SPCA systems, this is not about that though. But there is also some things that they can do and cannot do. And this isn't government funded from my understanding, right? This is all by donation and by people helping support them, not necessarily, and maybe grants from the government. I don't know much about it, but I don't believe it is government funded, right? So understanding, of course, if government has paid them money, of course, you're going to maybe hope that, you can be a little bit critical of the services. However, there's just some things that they cannot do. And I think breaking into private property, I'm not sure that that's something that the SPCA can do, but please let me know if I'm wrong. That's just my thoughts. and at the same time too, it's like if they're working on it, people that are calling and harassing because they're not getting to it right away, I understand it's pressing. At the same time, there's obviously a lot going on, right? So there could be another emergency they're getting to, and I just don't think we need to berate them. That's all I'm saying. Like it doesn't make their job easier, and these people are here to help, right? So I think when asking for their help and approaching them, I think in a kind, calm, professional manner is probably a little bit better, even though I know that's so hard when animals are involved and they're being abused, but they're not the ones abusing them, right? So just think we should keep that in mind sometimes, even though I know it's so hard because like it's devastating to watch this. We appreciate and share your concerns expressed over the well-being of the animal, but are unable to discuss or comment on the situation outside of the Strata Corporation and its governing body. We hope all concerned individuals will understand this. Kayla Wolf, Senior Director of Media and Internal Communications with the BCSPCA, said an investigation was launched with the animal protection team, and attention to the cat's plight has ramped up in the past 48 hours due to social media attention. At this time, we can confirm that the cat that was in question and the cat that was on the patio is in care, although not in BCSPCA care, she said. The cat did not need to come into our care. It is no longer on the patio. It is no longer on the balcony. Our animal protection officers were able to confirm that the cat is healthy as it stands, physically appears to just be fine, and will be following up with the care of that animal as well. And I'll plug some pictures right here. And again, like, I don't know. You're just looking at pictures. Again, with all the shit that's going on with AI, I don't think that this person was posting through AI. You just never know, right? So I'm always trying to be a little bit skeptical. But if they have checked them out and they do think the animal's okay, obviously this is not okay. Obviously, we need to be following up and make sure this animal's cared for. But what else are they really supposed to do, right? Like, we don't know the situation. We don't, like, just because one person seen something doesn't mean it's factual too, right? And then at what point are people, one point you're hearing that you don't want authorities to take animals away or get involved in situations, and at the same time people are upset because they're not getting involved, right? So I do believe that there is a fine line. And it seems like this cat is off the balcony taken care of. Obviously the one friend, it sounds like it was a different friend, so one friend was taking care of the cat. Allegedly, it sounds like this person has been away to China, is what I've heard in the comment section. This is nothing confirmed. And even though it's been 3 months, maybe it's been two, maybe, I'm not sure. Again, this is all hearsay. We weren't there. So I just think there's a fine line and we have to dial out, like, as long as the cat's safe and they're going to keep contact and proof that the cat's safe, that's great. Where's the owner? I think some conversations need to be had, but I think at a certain point we don't need to be harassing people at the BCSPCA and calling them fucking idiots, which I've seen lots in the comments, and I just don't agree with that. Wolf said she cannot provide any details about where the cat is now. She wanted to assure everyone that the cat is in care and not in distress, and the animal protection team jobs includes following up with the owners or guardians and making sure they have access to resources and information. She said it could also lead to the seizure of the animal. See? So they're going to be following up. If they think something's wrong, they will act on it. And I would say too, if you want these services to be robust, to be able to have more people, more boots on the ground, I think that's a great place to start donating your money. I know a lot of people say it's a scam, but then when these things happen, that's what they're looking for, right? So if this is something that you really want to advocate for, I think that's a great thing to go and try and help or donate to be able to solve as much of these, or sorry, to help support as many situations as you can. However, Wolf said it is important to remember they are not government funded body. See? There are some very prescribed steps and rules within the animal protection legislation on how the BCSPCA Animal Protection Team is able to investigate those situations of potential cruelty. One of those things, of course, is that we are not permitted to search for evidence or remove animals from a situation without a search warrant unless the animal is in clear immediate distress. Wolf said in a case involving private property, they need the coordination of a building manager, an owner, or in this case, the police. There's no information at this time where the cat owners are and why the cat has seemingly left on the balcony to begin with. So the speculation is obviously that, from what I heard in the comments, is the owner was gone away allegedly to China. I don't know if that's true or not. And someone was watching them, and allegedly someone was leaving food and water. And I think there was just a litter box for them to go to. Is like, I don't know if they're just pooping on the ground. The pictures are not great, as you guys have seen. So again, I didn't see it. I wasn't there, so it's so hard for me to comment. But again, just like the comments, like they said in the original Facebook post, like if you are unable to, and I'm not saying it's this situation, but it's a good time to like revisit. I know especially at this time of year, everyone wants to give pets and stuff to their kids and their families and their spouses, and just make sure when you are doing that you are taking on full responsibility of that animal. I know people think sometimes cats can just be left. That is very not true. They're very, very human based people. They love attention, they love energy. So, I don't know about dogs, same thing though. I imagine I just have the cats. And so I just to see these animals being let out. However, how cool is it that everyone can come together on social media and get stuff done and get attention and rally for this cat? And hopefully we'll have follow up, and hopefully they'll continue to follow up and make sure. And that's really great. And that's all we can ask for, right? So if you really want the SPCA to be able to have more services, I'd say get involved. If you think that they're, putting money in wrong places, then again, get involved, see where the money is going and see if you can help, or create, something yourself. But donating is a good spot to start. And I know that's controversial because so many people think a lot of these places are, scamming people, but at the same time, they have to pay their employees, they have to pay fees as well, and they do a lot of good work, and at most times at capacity. So now on to the Christmas story. So we're going to start with the nicest one, which I thought was great because I was trying to find some heartwarming ones. And I thought this one was really beautiful because obviously there's a huge issue with the homelessness crisis in Kelowna, in Canada, all over the place here. And I know the States is suffering with it too, with the prices of everything. But here was a uplifting story I thought I'd share about a situation. And so I wanted to share this one because it has a positive ending. So I was homeless at Christmas, but kindness saved me. So this was published 2 days ago. I felt that warmth again through the cold, and I tell you what, the coffee's brilliant. Emily, who is 36, ended up living on the street in June 2020 after her father died, and had created a cafe with and has credited a cafe with changing her life. Palmer's of Shrewsbury, run by a pay it forward scheme allowing Palmer's of Shrewsbury runs a pay it forward scheme allowing people to donate to give someone in need a free meal. I found myself again, Emily said, adding the kindness in everything, you wouldn't believe it. Living on the streets, Emily said that the freezing temperatures and her grief saw her turn to alcohol, adding that vodka numbed her to the cold. There's nothing worse than being cold, but there's nothing worse than being cold and wet and not able to get dry, she said. I just breaks my fucking heart. I don't know. I feel like such a pussy because I cannot, and I feel so privileged. And this is why I just wish that we would actually do something for the homelessness problem. It's bad here in BC. I couldn't imagine how fucking cold it is in Alberta. The nighttime was horrible, Emily continued. There's a certain type of cold that you can't explain. But despite it being cold, as cheesy as this sounds, there was a lot of warmth from people and from places I could go into. One of those places was Palmer's of Shrewsbury, a cafe inside a Baptist church that runs a pay it forward scheme allowing the public to buy food and drink for those in need. For me, that was pivotal, Emily said, adding that staff did not make her feel embarrassed or stupid. I felt that warmth again through the cold. Ruth Cattledoe is one of the team leaders at Palmer's and said the cafe has built relationships with those who rely on them. We always say we're here to listen, and we try to link them up with other resources with the council. Miss Cattledoe said staff will have even helped fill a council form for homeless and vulnerable people so they can support them as much as possible. She added that the Pay It Forward scheme is popular with other customers as they know their donation will be going exactly where it's needed. Emily spent Christmas Day in 2020 on the streets in Shrewsbury and said the community in Shropshire's town is full of so much kindness. I'm so sorry, you guys. That was a hard one. People came to me and gave me presents. It sounds silly, but it kept me going. A few days after Christmas, the local authority offered Emily a place in a hotel, the appropriately named St. Nicholas Hotel. In a way, the universe worked out for me, she said. Whilst living in the hotel, Emily began volunteering at Palmer's. She said the staff there didn't see me for that homeless street person or someone who was battling alcohol and grief, but instead saw me as a person. Even now, the thought of it makes me have goosebumps, Emily said, adding that being believed in was what made me be able to survive. Emily now has somewhere more permanent to live, she says, and people say home is where the heart is. I didn't have a home, but my heart was around these people and the community. Isn't that beautiful? And now she has a home. So I think a lot of the times too, I think just by nature, subconsciously, some people choose to be there. I understand that, but I do not believe most people choose to be there. And I believe the biggest thing that's holding them back is how they feel like they're viewed and how they're not being supported in society. And it's really hard because there's many different reasons why that can happen. And I think a lot of people right now, especially Canadians, at this point in time are feeling like you're just one bad paycheck away, or one accident, or one slip up, or something from being in a very similar or close to situation. I think a lot of people have home insecurity at the current time, or food insecurity, and there's not much that people can do. So for others, especially when we're living in the world that's super expensive, like everyday people don't control that, but here's a way that can be controlled. And what amazing and beautiful sentiment to do that for people, to pay it forward, to allow people to put, like you said, the money's going where it needs to, right? Just like talking about the SPCA, some people get worried about where the money goes. And say, if you say like BC Cancer and stuff like that, right? Do you struggle sometimes with where the money's going? Sometimes it's nice just to donate straight to that person. So a program like this, I think, is super beautiful, because not only is it supporting people that need that extra belief, need that extra support that they're not getting and unfortunately didn't have in their lives, to be able to not only be supported by this amazing staff, but for people that go there to also pay it forward as well. But if you're in the area, or if you're looking at ways to help, I think that's a really beautiful way to help. Okay, now let's get into the not so nice stuff, but not as disgusting and terrible as things have been on the show, if I'm being honest. So this one's a bit older from when we're posting, but I thought it was kind of interesting, and I was going for Christmas kind of theme today. So, is it illegal to spoil Christmas? Police in Ontario get complaints about anti-Santa signs. Signs were posted along route for Santa Claus parade in Brantford, Ontario. You better watch out. You better not cry. You better not post decidedly unfestive signage along a parade route. I'm telling you why. Because people will call the police. Okay, well, maybe that's not as catchy as the original, but that's what happened in Brantford, Ontario last weekend during the city's annual Santa Claus parade. Brantford police confirmed with CBC News that they received calls from upset residents as well as online and in-person complaints after someone in a house along the parade route posted anti-Santa signs in its windows. Brantford is about 100 kilometers southwest of Toronto. The daytime parade on Saturday attracted about 30,000 onlookers. I wonder, and I don't know this. If you guys know that, please comment in the comment sections. Like, when you buy houses like this, is it told to you? Like, are you aware that this is going to happen? Could you imagine buying a house and all of a sudden finding like, haha, for one day out of the year? Again, it's just one day. I understand, but informed consent, you should know. Do they not get told that? And all of a sudden, for one whole day, your life's a living fucking nightmare, and there's a bunch of people that litter in front of your house. Like, I hope they tell people that. According to multiple social media posts that claim to show the house, the colorful signs said, "And children, avert your eyes." Yes, get kids out, block them. Here's your time. Santa is fake. Santa isn't real. Your parents are Santa, and your family buys your presents. And not even nice signs either. I feel like you could have done better there. They've since been removed, according to police. An officer spoke with the individual responsible, and the signs have since been removed. Robin Matthews-Osmond, corporate communication manager for Brantford Police, told CBC News in an online statement. While it isn't illegal to be a Grinch, we do encourage everyone to embrace the spirit of the season and help foster positive, welcoming community, especially during events like the Santa Claus Parade, she said. Matthews-Osmond confirmed the signs weren't illegal because of free speech laws and the fact that they were on private property. Online reaction to the signage was swift and merciless, while people calling it mean-spirited and absolutely disgusting. You don't get to crush someone's spirit or ruin something for someone else just because you don't like something, someone commented on Facebook. On a Facebook post, "How miserable do you have to be to actively trying to ruin someone's childhood?" someone wrote on an Instagram post. But as appalled as some people may be, it's not a criminal act or a hate crime to tell kids Santa isn't real, said Michael Geese, the Canada Research Chair in the Internet and E-commerce Law at the University of Ottawa Faculty of Law. I don't think it's unlawful either, though perhaps a municipal bylaw against a disturbance might be applied in a given circumstance, he told CBC News. But even then, it would be subject to challenge on charter grounds protecting freedom of expression. There are limits to freedom of expression, but it's very high bar. And James Turk, director of the Center of Free Expression at Toronto Metropolitan University, you can't use or threaten the use of violence, for instance, harass someone or use hate speech, he told CBC News. There is a lot of expression that people dislike, but we don't deal with it by making it illegal, he said. Agreed. If someone's going to be a Grinch at Christmas and put up signs like that, what will happen is what happens. Someone will go talk to the person and they'll take it down. And again, like, I totally understand. And there was this, if you're interested in watching the podcast, me and Haley had some Am I the Asshole and Reddit stories about Christmas that is just going to post here, or sorry, that just posted here on the 19th. The next episode on the podcast is just going to be me rehashing 2025 on the podcast, on the show, in the world, and pop culture, that kind of thing. But we talked about this, how it's just kind of like, I understand people want to do different stuff. And I understand that a lot of more people, though, do adopt the idea of Santa and Christmas. So if you're going to be different, that's totally cool. But, having that, like, how did it make you feel better to do that? Like, how is that? Do you think you're like funny? Like, I just don't understand the outcome, right? It's a really good learning moment too, if you have children, just to teach them how different people can be when it comes to religious, when it comes to beliefs, and how we respect that, right? And we don't, kind of like Haley had said, don't yuck their yum, right? So doing this, like, what did that do for you? Like, are you a cranky old crusty boomer? Are you like, again, like, what is it? Is it a religious thing? Like, it's so hard nowadays what to know what this is about, but I just think it's sad. Like, and again, probably most kids that are experiencing Christmas, for the most part, probably can't read or wouldn't see it. Like, they weren't very nice and they're far away in the probably in the place, and it's just one house. But again, like, it's just gross behavior, right? A short history of Santa spoilers. That said, there have been cases where people were arrested for trying to spoil Santa. In 2018, police in Texas arrested a 31-year-old man who told kids Santa wasn't real outside a church that was hosting a breakfast with Santa event. Police said the man, who was protesting with two others, refused to leave and continued to cause a disturbance, so he was charged with criminal trespass, according to the Associated Press. In Kingston, Ontario, police charged a man who was allegedly telling children Santa Claus did not exist during the city annual Santa Claus parade in 2012. Like, fuck off. Like, just stop, you weirdos. He was reportedly, just leave kids alone, man. He was reportedly walking up and down the street telling kids his belief until his arrest. Kingston police confirmed with CBC News that the man was charged and convicted for causing a disturbance and breach of probation. Then there's Richard Dildy, a Toronto man who was arrested in 1979 after protesting inside and outside the Eaton Centre, shouting the holiday shoppers that Santa isn't real, according to Toronto Today. Dildy was arrested again during Toronto's 1980 Santa Claus parade for shouting, "There is no Santa Claus," the publication said. He was given a $50 fine. As Turk points out, none of these individuals were arrested for what they said about Santa, but for the circumstances: trespassing, mischief, or causing a disturbance. Our courts really see the value of freedom of expression and are so very reluctant to have these rights restricted, he said. I don't know if I agree with that sentiment, but hopefully that remains. And I agree, as much as I think it's stupid and I hate it and I don't think that that's right, and I would never do that to a child. It isn't against the law, but there's such thing as court of public opinion, right? We don't need to counsel people, holding people accountable. I mean, like, that sucks. Probably don't do that. Or like, just don't be around people. And it's one day out of the whole entire year. And if, I'm not trying to say that, but if this is their predating you, kind of sucks. But that's what it's like living in community. Unfortunately, I wish, and I'm sure all of us wish we were rich and had all this land and we could just go out there and not be disturbed by anybody unless the people that we liked. We got to choose our neighbors. That's not the fact for most of us, and we have to coexist. So maybe just don't. If you don't believe in Santa, that's fine. Just don't wreck it for kids, especially children. Just leave them the fuck alone. Like, I just hate how unbalanced adults are just ruining this shit for kids. But let's get to the last story, which again is probably like a little bit here or there. I don't know how I stand on it. You guys let me know. But let's go into the story and then I'll talk more about it. So thieves dressed as Santa and his elves bust into grocery store and steal $3,000 worth of food. An activist group that claims its members are responsible for alleged robbery call it a food drive. So this was published on December 19th. 'Twas the night before activism this week when members of a Canadian group allegedly donned Santa suits and elf costumes and made off with roughly $3,000 in groceries in a holiday-themed grocery store heist. Photos and videos shared on social media show alleged members of Robin de Ruelle, or Robins of the Alley, finding reusable bags and shopping carts with food at a metro store on Laurier Avenue in Montreal's Plateau Mont-Royal borough Monday around 9:15 p.m., then dashing through the door without paying. Dashing through the door. Sorry, this isn't funny. In an Instagram post, the Robins de Rule said 4 masked Santa Clauses and a swarm of elves redistributed the alleged stolen goods after the symbolic food drive to community fridges across Montreal and under a Christmas tree in Place Valois. A handful of corporations are holding our basic needs hostage. They continue to exploit the population, siphoning off as much money as possible simply because they can. For us, that's what constitutes theft, and they are the real bandits, the post translated from French read. However, grocery store officials didn't see the heist as such a festive act. No matter the reason, it's unacceptable and a criminal act. Metro spokesperson Genevieve Gregoire told CBC News in a statement. Retail crime resulted in losses of $9.2 billion in Canada in 2024. Many factors influence food inflation, including disruptions in the global supply chain, volatility in the commodity prices, changing in international trade conditions, and retail crime. Gregoire also reminded the public about Metro's 2025 donations of $1.15 million to food banks and additional food contributions. The incident occurred on the same day Statistics Canada reported that grocery store prices hit their highest inflation in nearly 2 years in November, with food costs rising 4.7% year over year, outpacing the overall 2.2% inflation rate. Montreal police said they are receiving videos of the incident, but no arrests have been made as of Thursday. Wow, again, like, understand it. I understand it. I totally get that I just don't know that this is the right way because you can't. I don't know. It's so hard because I don't think you get rid of policing and making sure people are following the rules, and are these people breaking the rules. So, and I understand that our court systems are absolutely trash and who's being held accountable. I understand that. I just don't know that this is the right way. Personally, that's just my opinion. I don't condone theft, but I understand the sentiment of how difficult things have been this year, and I understand how frustrating it is. And parts of me are like, oh, because we have to vote different, but then other parts of me are like, oh, it's this two birds of the same wing and it's not going to do anything, but what do we do, right? The only thing I can think of is trying to get involved more at a local level, and helping, instead of, yes, stealing that money, but maybe doing a fundraiser instead. Like, there's lots of people that have extra money and sometimes they just need places where to put it. And I don't think there's a lack of money. I just think it's a distribution thing. So I think if we did things that were more positive to raise money for people like this, that would be a better avenue than just stealing. Or again, like, getting involved, learning more things about it, questioning people instead of just assuming and reading the back end. And, I don't know. Again, I don't know about these things. I just don't think that theft is the right way to balance things here personally. That's just my personal opinion. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoy this episode. Thank you so much for listening. I cannot believe that the next time we're talking about Canada, it's going to be the last one of 2025. This is insane. It's almost been a whole year of this show. I'm so, so grateful. I'll be on here for another 2 to 3 weeks after 2026 and be taking my break. I actually have all the episodes for the podcast ready to upload at the end of January and February until I come back. Hopefully at the beginning of the March. We'll see how long this break will be, but there'll be episodes 2 times a week, maybe 3. We'll see. Of the podcast that happened this last season in season 10. And then again, I'll have Internet Insanity for you on Wednesday, but it is Christmas Eve, so I am not expecting anybody to watch it, but I'm going to be there if you do not celebrate holidays or you just need something in the background while you're wrapping last minute presents or cleaning up the house or whatnot. I've got some interesting stories for you guys. And as always, guys, on Friday, you can find the podcast on Apple, Spotify, and Rumble. Amazing episodes. There's still another couple weeks of those coming as well. And like I mentioned, there is one right now about Christmas Reddit. Me and Hales go over that together. But thanks again so much, guys. If you don't come back on Wednesday to hear Merry Christmas, I hope you have a Merry Christmas if you celebrate, and I will see you in the next episode, guys. Bye! Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Until next time, bye!